Okay, so what we're going to have a look at today is using the pen tool in Illustrator. Now, so Illustrator, remember, is a vector program, so you're making shapes and things. Last week, or the last 2 weeks, we looked at some basic shapes and using the shape builder tool to, just put shapes together so you're getting a basic shape, and that's pretty good. Another way to make shapes is to use the pen tool. So if you've used Photoshop, Photoshop also has a pen tool and it works in a very similar way. Because Illustrator is a vector program, that's I suppose where it started out. They keep adding tools to both Photoshop and Illustrator, so they're, kind of looking very similar these days. All right, so just to start off, we're just going to make a new document, just a blank document, just to practice on. Okay, so you can go to Control N or you can go to File, New. And so that's got set up from last time. We don't necessarily need that. I think we might just, actually I've got something to open in a minute, but just under Profile, you can just choose Print and we'll just choose an A4 size. That'll do. This is just like a practice one we're going to use here. So if you choose the Print Profile, it should come up automatically with A4 size anyway. Yep, so everyone found that? All right, so just say OK. Okay, so if we have a look on our toolbox on the left-hand side, and you'll see something that looks like a pen. It actually looks like a fountain pen. It's really funny when you see some of these icons. The save icon is a floppy disk, which is really old, and a fountain pen, but anyway, who's printing? Okay, you shouldn't be printing. Yeah, I don't know who it is, but don't print. Especially not while I'm talking, because the print is really noisy. Okay, so the pen tool. We want to use the pen tool. So if you click on that, actually if you click and hold on that, you'll see some extra things associated with the pen tool, which we'll get to. But mainly we've got the pen tool there. And we've got, you can add anchor points, delete anchor points, and convert points, which we'll get into. All right, now with the pen tool, it's sort of two main types of lines that you draw, straight lines and curved lines. Okay, straight lines are pretty easy. You just click points and it will join them together. So if we just try that, if we just tap with the pen and, oh, there we go. And if you tap another one and you'll see it's joining up those lines. Okay, and it's making a shape. You don't actually have to join it together. I mean, if you want to make a filled in shape, then it should be joined, okay? But if you're just, I don't know, doing an outline or something, you don't actually have to join it. But if we want to join it back to the beginning, you put your mouse over or your pen over the first anchor point, and you'll see a little circle, or you should see a little circle next to the pen. Okay, and that means if you click there, it will join it up. Okay, so if I click on there, it's now joined up my shape. Okay, so that's a really, quick way to do it. You're just clicking or tapping with the pen, and you get these, you can just draw whatever shape you want. You can also move the shapes, like if you decide that, hi, come in. If you decide that that's, not in the right place, or like the, individual points aren't in the right place, you can actually move them. Now, the way you do it is with the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow. Remember, we've looked at the selection tool, so that just is to grab something and move it around. But the direct selection tool allows you to choose one of the points and move that one by itself. Okay, so I can, move a point individually. So the selection tool moves the whole thing. The direct selection tool, you can move individual points. Okay, so I can just click on that and, move that wherever I like. Sorry? More control, yep. Okay. Now, remember I showed you those other tools under the pen tool? Okay, add anchor point and delete anchor point. Okay, if we wanted to add an extra point in here, then you would go to the add anchor point tool. Okay, so if I click on that, and then I can just click anywhere on the line. All right, so I've chosen that tool there, add anchor point. Yep, and just, anywhere on the shape, like just on the line, I tap it, and then it's added another point. All right, I could, there we go. No, it's not going to let me move it at the same time. But there you go. I've added anchor points there, and then I can move them. Same thing with the remove anchor point, or delete anchor point, I should say. Delete one, and, if I don't want that one there, or I don't want that one, I would just now, and you see there's now a minus sign. Before there was a plus sign next to the thing to add a point. Now there's a minus sign, and that'll remove a point. Okay, so if I can tap on that and remove the one I just added. Okay. Yep. You probably tried to move it at the same time, maybe, or maybe you didn't realise you'd sort of tapped and moved or something. But just say OK and just tap it again, yeah. Okay, or if you don't see it at that time, I've got the remove anchor point and I've just tapped in the middle where there is no anchor point, so I'm getting that message. So it's saying, do it on an anchor point. You can actually say don't show again, because they're really annoying messages. Okay, so if I did that, it just wouldn't do anything. But if I got over an actual point, okay, and see it comes up if you've got it's called tooltips or something turned on, it'll give me a little message in green. So it's saying anchor. So if I've got my pen over that, okay, and then it removes that one. If I try and put it here, it's saying path. There's no anchor point where I'm clicking on the path, so that's not going to do anything. But because I ticked that box that said don't show again, I'm not going to get that annoying message. So I find most messages annoying, so I just, read them the first time though, but then just remove them afterwards. Okay. Now just. Okay. So now we just did a random shape, obviously. Okay, but you can also do like constrain it to an angle like 45 degrees or 90 degrees. So you might want to draw a perfect rectangle or a triangle or whatever. Okay, so now we should have, I think I've got Smart Guides turned on. Yep, just go up to your View menu. And I think by default Smart Guides is turned on. You might have noticed that when you're clicking things, so if I go back to the pen tool, and very occasionally you'll get these green lines coming up, okay? That's what's called Smart Guides, and that's helping you to line up your points with other things, okay? So if I wanted to line something up with this anchor point, and I get my mouse in the right position, I'll get that line across there. So that's telling me that, it's going to line up with certain points. So that's handy for, particular things, okay? Now, if we wanted to constrain the angle by 45 degrees, we would hold the Shift key down while we're doing something. So if you go back to the pen tool, okay, I'm just going to tap one to start with. Now, if I hold the Shift key, what's going on with my keyboard? Okay, if I hold the Shift key down, it'll actually constrain it to an angle. either 90 degrees or 45 degrees depending on what's closer, okay? Even if I'm a little bit off, okay, so if I go over here, but I'm holding the shift key, if I tap there, it'll still do a straight line, even though my mouse wasn't in line with that angle. If I go up here, it'll now do a 45-degree angle because that's the one I was closest to. So I'm holding the shift key as I'm tapping those points. Okay, so what was I going to say? I don't know, I've forgotten now. But yeah, so that's, so you can do that instead of using the smart guides. You can still use the smart guide, so I can go here, and if I tap there, although that's actually a little bit off, so I don't know what it was aligning it to. Oh, that was aligning to the center, that one. But if I want to line it up with that one that I already did, I can use the smart guides. Okay, so there's a few ways to do different things there. Okay, so that's basically straight lines. All right, so we're just doing, you're just tapping, and you can hold the shift key if you want to constrain the lines, and you can add points or remove points. Okay, so now let's have a look at curved lines. Now I have, we'll just do a couple on here before we go into the practice file. Now curved lines are slightly different in that instead of just tapping, when you tap, you drag at the same time. So if you have a look what I'm doing now, I'm just going to draw a curved line. So I'm tapping, holding the pen down, but also dragging out. So if you were using your mouse, you'd be holding your mouse button down and dragging out while you're holding your mouse button. Now have a look. These things are called handles. Okay, so we've got our anchor point, which is the little square in the middle, and handles. Notice that your straight lines don't have any handles. Okay, only curved points have handles. And the handles are how you control the curve. Okay, so I've only done one point so far, but it's got handles, and so I know that's going to be a curved point. So I'll continue on. I'll go down here, and I'll drag again, and see I'm now getting a curved line. Okay, and I'm just holding the pen down. I can move it whatever way I like. Okay. Now generally you're going to drag your pen or your mouse in the direction of the curve. So if you're going, like say you've just got a simple, you're doing a circle, okay, you just keep going in one direction. All right, but if you're doing a complex one where it's going up and down, you're going to have to change direction. Okay, so just try that with a couple of ones. Now, for some reason, I often get students who do that, and then when they do the next point, they try and join it up to the handle of the previous one. I don't know why, but the handle of the previous one has nothing to do with joining the next point. Okay, so it's only about changing the curve of that point that you've just done. All right, so don't go anywhere near the previous handle. Just pick a new spot, drag out. And same as with the straight lines, you can join it back to the beginning just by putting your mouse over there. And when you get that little circle, that means you can join it to that point. Okay, just practice that for a bit because that can be a bit tricky to get the hang of, curved paths. Yep. Can you imagine Picasso with a graphics tablet? Yeah. Now, you can also do the same thing with the add anchor points and remove anchor points. They work on curved paths as well. Okay. If you want to add a curved thing on here, it should just add it automatically. Whoops, why did I just click on there? If you're adding an anchor point between two curved anchor points, it just seems to make that a curved one by default. Okay, so you can add more, things. When you are doing a curved shape, it's better to have as few anchor points as possible, okay, because then you get a smoother curve. The more anchor points you have on a curved line, the more, bumpy, I guess, it can end up being. All right, so generally you'll have one just, where it sort of changes direction or something. Now, to change the points, so maybe you've done a curved thing, but you want to change the curve on it, okay? We go back to our direct selection tool, click on one of the anchor points, and then you'll see the handles. You'll see the handles on both sides of the anchor point you just clicked on, but also on one side of each of the anchor points on either side of it. Okay, so I just clicked on this anchor point here, and you can see I've got the handles there and there, but I can also see one handle on that side and one handle on that side. Okay, so now I can grab the ends of the handles, so as well as moving the anchor point around, I can also grab the end of the handle and move it out or swing it round. Okay, just do whatever to get it to be the curve that I want. Now, one other thing to show you before we start doing some practice on curved points, if you have a look on the toolbox where the pen tool was, so we had the pen tool, add anchor point, delete anchor point, and under there you've also got convert anchor point. So this will convert it to like a straight point to a curved point and a curved point to a straight point. Okay, so if I select that one, now if I want to change one of my curved points to a straight point, all I have to do is click on the point with that tool. So I've got, see, it's like a little V. Okay, so that's the convert anchor point. If I just click on this one, it's made that now into kind of a straight point. Yeah, it's got no handles anymore because it's curved on one side and straight there, so it still looks a little bit curved, but the actual point itself is straight. So I could keep going around and just straighten all of those if I wanted to. See how it's turning them into straight ones? Okay, so I'm just clicking on the points with that tool. But to change a straight point into a curved point, it's slightly different, but it's similar to when we made the curved point with the pen tool. You click and drag. Okay, so if I want to change this back to a curved point, I click and drag, and see I'm getting those handles back again. Okay, and it changes it back into a curved point. Okay, if you could go to the P drive, we'll open up in the P drive, there's a file called Curves1, which is this file here. It's in the Illustrator folder. Okay, so P, Student, Infotech, C3 Multimedia, Digital Images, Illustrator. it's the one called Curves 1. I mean, if you want to open up Curves 2 while you're at it, we'll do that one in a minute, but Curves 1 to start with. And this is just sort of a practice one. Now, when you're using the pen tool, it's handy if you've got something to trace from. Okay, and so that's what this is here. We've got our background thing here, and you can trace over the top of it. Now, I think in here, have I talked about layers in Illustrator? I don't know that I have really. Layers are a lot more important in Photoshop, but Illustrator also has layers, so you can have things on different layers, which is handy for something like this, because in this case, it's got the template there, and they've locked the template so we don't accidentally move it. Okay, and also being on separate layers, you can hide one layer or another layer. See how this has got a little eye next to it? It's saying whether that's visible or not. So if I click on that eye, that'll turn off that template. Okay, so if you're tracing something, you would put the thing you're tracing on one layer, and then have a new blank layer that you're tracing on the top of, and that way you can just get rid of the template, okay, that you know later on once you finish tracing it. Okay, so in this case, they've already made two layers here. One's called drawing, so that's what you'll be on, and the template has those lines on it that you can trace over. Okay, so did everyone find that that picture? Sorry, was that Curves 1 is the one we want? It's in the Illustrator folder. Yep. Now you'll see on this template, they've even put some little black marks, and that's where the anchor points go. Okay, in this, when you're tracing it, I just zoomed in a little bit. You might find it easier to zoom in a bit. Now this one, you can do A if you want. That's just a curve. But remember what I said about moving your pen or your mouse in the direction that you're going, in the direction of the curve. Okay, so if we start out with that top one, so I'm going to start here, and I click and drag. Now sometimes it's a bit of a guess as to how far you drag. Okay, that's fine. You can always go back and change it later. And if you are tracing something and you find that your curve, isn't quite right, you haven't dragged far enough or something, just keep going. It's easier to keep going and finish it and then come back later and fix the curves up. Because if you stop in the middle of your tracing, you have to kind of join up again, and it's just, it's easier just to finish the whole thing and then go back and fix up your curves later. Okay? All right, so I've just drawn one up there, and actually my line's a little bit not straight. And then with this one, okay, we only need another anchor point at the end. We don't actually need one in the middle. Okay, let's see how this works. If I do that and drag down, remember I'm going in the same direction. So the first one I dragged up, the second one I dragged down, because it's going in that direction. You will find, like I'll just undo that. So with the first one, if I dragged up, and with the second one, if I dragged up as well, my curve is going to go weird. Okay, it's going to go in the reverse direction. That's not what I want. All right, so that's why I have to keep going in the same direction. So the first one I dragged up, the second one I dragged down, like that. Okay, now I know my curve is a little bit out, so I would need to go back with the direct selection tool and probably just drag that one up a little bit. Whoops, what's going on with this pen? Okay, do that, or move that one down. Adjust them. Ideally, in this case, because it's a symmetrical thing, my handles should be at the same level. Okay. All right, so that's the first one, and then just practice on this one. It's easy. It's just going up and going down and going up and going down. Okay, and there are your anchor points. So you know from that one, your handle is probably going to go up a little bit above the top of the curve. Okay, and then go down, and then go up. So you're going in the direction that you're travelling in. Okay, so one's up, one's down, one's up, one's down. And if you want to, if you've done that tracing one, you can then do a practice by yourself in the work area down the bottom. All right, don't worry if you haven't finished that one, that's fine. We'll have a bit of practice time. But can I next get you to open up the Curves 2 file, which looks like this. Okay, so can I get everyone to open up that one? This one's called Curves 2. Now you'll see with this one, we've still got our curves, but they're going in different directions. So this one, they're all going that way. And then we've got a second one here. It's got some curved, some straight. Okay. Now, what we need to do here is we're still doing our things in the direction that the curve's going in, but at this point we need to kind of turn around the curve so it goes the other way. And I'll show you how to do that. So I'll start off the same way. I'm just on my pen tool. So I'll click and drag up because I want it to be a curved one. And then I click and drag down, but I then hold the Alt key down, and then I can move. See how I'm still holding the pen down, and it's actually moving the handle. I'm holding the Alt key down, and I move it up here. Oops, oh, damn it, I let go of the thing at the... Okay, try that again, sorry. Okay, let go of the pen first, and then let go of the Alt key. Okay, and then you should be able to just keep going. So I go drag down, hold the Alt key, move my handle up, let go of that before I let go of the key. You'll find if you let go of the keyboard first, which is what I did the first time, it reverts back. Okay, try that again. Click and drag down, Alt key, move the handle up, and then I've got that. So try that one to start with. So that's a handy thing to, you might want to write that down, or actually I have, okay, and you'll notice that the next one there, you know, number B, you've got some curves and you've got some straight lines. Okay, so how do we combine the two together? Well, the first one is just your normal curve, so like we've been doing, one up, one down. And then if we want to do a straight line there, we can hold the, no, shift key, wait a minute. Why is that not working? Actually, I need to, sorry. Okay. Sorry, back here. Yeah, so if we want to do a curved line and a straight line, you'll see, sorry, I'll just go back to the beginning. All right, so our curved, what is that called? Just a curve. At the beginning, one up, one down. And then if I click here, So remember, if you click, it'll make a straight point, but because it's joined to a curved point, okay, it's actually, that beginning bit of it has actually got a curve. So we actually need to delete that point that we just did. So let's delete that one. Go back to the pen tool, and if I hold the shift key, sorry, I need to click on there to join it. Oh, this is not working for me. Sorry. What am I doing? Okay. I know, you've got to be so accurate, actually. I think it's easier to zoom in a bit. Okay. So I deleted that line that was incorrect. If I want to continue on this with this line, I need to click on the last anchor point to say that I'm still continuing on, okay, because I, broke the line in the middle. Okay, so if I click there, that one, and now if I hold the shift key, it gives me a straight line. Okay, sorry, I just did a few weird things there. Okay, so I'm going to, all right, so I broke the thing there. If I want to continue this, I need to click on that line. Now you'll notice, depending on where I zoom in a bit more, where my mouse is, you'll either get a little asterisk, or you'll get like a minus sign. And it's saying, what does that one say? I can't even see it. That one says anchor. I can't see that because the green writing. Oh, it says center. Okay, that one says center, I think. Yeah. Anyway, you want to make sure it's on the anchor. I think I just didn't get that there. There we go. Yeah, you might want to make sure you actually click on the anchor point. And sometimes you do just have to zoom right in because it is a bit tricky. Okay, but I just press the shift key to get that perfectly straight line. Just a handy thing, if you've zoomed in and you want to move across, what I just did then was I held my space bar down, and see, it becomes a hand, and that means you can just grab it and sort of move it around rather than, grabbing the scroll bar. That's just a different way of doing it. Okay, so I can continue on from here and I do my thing there, but of course this one needs to be changed as well. And then I've got another straight line. Okay, so I have to go back and fix these things. Okay, because they're not going to do things. Now I should be able to, with the convert anchor point, how's it going to do it for that one? It's not going to, oh, this is driving me crazy. Sorry. I'm going to delete these points. Okay, I know what I did. All right, so here, made the straight point. I need to drag from here. I went straight to there. Okay, because I've got to make a curved point here. Sorry, my head's all over the place today. All right, so I'll go back here and I drag down, and you see I'm getting my handle. Okay, and then that one, getting the handle there. Now, here is where I actually need to hold the shift key, but I need to, if I convert that point, no, it's doing that one. There, and no. I keep forgetting to delete the point. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. How did I get on that? That's fine.